Hey, what's up, Village fams? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Village HI Podcast, a community for inspiration, elevation, and empowerment. I'm your host, Rocky Savaina. I'm very inspired by having, our guest on today. Two boys from Samoa who came during their youths, one raised in Mililani, another in Kalihi. But because of the standard that they live by, they were able to leave a legacy for young Polynesians like myself that were able to follow in their footsteps. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ma'a Tanuvasa and Jesse Sapolu. Gentlemen, thank you guys for making the time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob, for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, man. You guys are in the middle of your guys', Polynesian Football Hall of Fame bowl game festivities. How crazy is the schedule right now?
For me, I thought it was going to be a fun schedule because usually the last 5 years when the 49ers are in the playoffs, I'm flying back and forth to go to work and come here. But, obviously we're on the couch right now, so I get to stay the whole trip. But now, I have a nephew that actually playing in the game.
Oh, nice.
So now families, asking for tickets and things like that. But it's all fun. It's a family-oriented deal that we have. It's our chance to put our best foot forward in the front of a country that has 330 million people. And we're going to try to feature our culture the best we can.
Nice. How's the week going for you, Ma?
It's going great. Just seeing the look on these kids' faces while they come in and there's no snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're getting off the plane and, they're getting a lay as soon as they come up into the hotel. And Auntie Purcell's giving them hugs. They're like, kind of step back. They really get into it. So I think it's going to be a great experience for these kids.
Oh, right on. One thing I love is that you guys are bringing the world to, our culture. They're being able to be, being touched and left, like you said, right? They are able to come and leave better as people. They're educated, right? So that's a great environment. We're definitely going to touch more into the Polynesian Bowl later on, but I kind of want to touch into kind of like your guys' upbringing and more of you guys as individuals. Jesse, one thing that I've heard, in past interviews is that there's this thing I think you gave in your Hall of Fame speech was, as a Polynesian, you live to leave a legacy. Where did that come from? How did that build? And what does that legacy for you look like?
Well, because when I came into the league, Rock, there was only 4 of us, and you look on the rosters and it's like every 5 weeks you see a Polynesian name on the roster, and you kind of keep it in the back of your mind because you look forward to it. But it was important for us to keep it going so that the likes of Ma'a Tanuvasa would come in and continue that legacy and push the envelope. Junior Seau, Troy Polamalu, and some of those guys. From 4 players in the league to some teams having 6 Polynesian players under a team shows us that we're doing the right things.
Yeah.
And it's not for us, but it's more opportunity for the kids. But what Maya and I have started is a chance for us to honor the past legends, the present stars like Puka Nakua, those type of players come in for the game. And then, of course, the future is the Polynesian Bowl. And that's what we wanted to do. The thing that makes me more proud than anything else is the sustainability. This is our 12th year, and it looks like we keep climbing. Usually Polynesians were known for starting something big, and then after 2 years, it's
no consistency. Yeah, no, that's exactly true, right?
Yeah, so I'm happy and I'm proud about that because it benefits all of us.
Yeah. No, Jesse's talking about the trend, right? When you guys first started this, you guys have the NFL Network coming to, right, really, I guess, follow you guys along and broadcast this. You guys have a ton of influencers. It's a huge thing now. How was it when you guys first started this bowl game, just getting it off? Like, what was the building steps look like, or the humble beginnings, people would say?
Man, when we first started, it was like, really going to try to put on a bowl game out here in the middle of the Pacific, especially with our Polynesian culture. But, we was like, oh, why not?
Yeah.
Why not us be the first to not just bring our own Polynesian culture or Polynesian kids into it, bring other ethnicities into the game, because that's the only way you spread things that are of worth. So to have other ethnicities come and be a part of something that they're not used to, maybe, or they come here and experience calling people uncles and aunties out here. They're not used to
or getting a kiss and a hug.
That's what I mean. Getting a kiss and a hug. They're usually standoffish. But by the time they leave, and they're learning to play the ukulele. They're learning songs,
Some pigeon.
and then they're networking with a lot of our local kids here that who someday may be playing with them at the next level, or just making long-lasting friendships while they're out here.
No, definitely. You two were able to live out a dream that many of us young Samoans or Polynesians were able to do. You guys got to play in the NFL, but you didn't start your playing career until about 10th grade. I know you went to go try out maybe as a freshman, but it didn't really start till 10th grade. In this time and age that we live in now, a lot of people are drilling kids from 3-4 years old to get into it, be sports specific or position specific. For you, starting later in the game, do you think that that kind of puts you maybe at a disadvantage, or it's kind of like if you surround yourself in the right environment, you can still make it because you're a proven track of that, right?
Yeah, I think just being around guys who were playing Pop Warner, who were playing high school football back then, kind of got used to, I guess, the nuances of the game or some of the rules. But I think not just, like you said, they're starting young nowadays where it's sports specific. But back then, we were playing basketball, we were playing volleyball, we were playing. So you're getting used to playing different sports where you don't use that same muscle over and over.
Yeah.
That's why the trend is now is like a lot of kids are getting hurt because they're doing certain drills over and over and over and trying to get it quicker. I don't think ligaments are learned to keep up with that demand. Where you play other sports, you use a whole different group of muscles. So I think they should try to get back to having kids play all different types of sports.
No, but I would like to second that testimony, because for me, I believe in building the best athlete, right? Building the best athlete, because something with you is you didn't start off as an offensive lineman. You were actually a defensive lineman first, right? When you started off.
I was a running back in flag football.
Oh, yes, he had the moves and the speed.
And rugby.
And then slowly they pushed me forward until I was on the line of scrimmage. But I played D-line. I played both ways at UH as a freshman for about 3 or 4 games. But I think I didn't start tackle football until I was a freshman at Damien High School.
Oh, wow.
And for me, later on in my career, like my year 10, year 11 with the 49ers, I started being thankful of that because sometimes I go to these Pop Warner leagues. I see kids running with their head on the side because the helmet's too heavy. But like you said, you got to be. The training is in fact, more advanced now. But you also got to be smart at how you approach the game. And of course, the nutrition is different than what we did. We ate whatever
whatever's free,
whatever's at home.
Whatever you can get.
You remember that Malolo, the juice mixer.
The juice.
I mean, tasted so good, but now we found out as adults it's the worst thing for your health.
Sugar in that, right.
That was before the Powerade and Gatorade.
We didn't know any better, right? And that's the power of the mind. But I think it's an advantage for us to play flag football and then get into the pads as freshmen.
Yeah, nice. We kind of fast forwarded, but you guys both came from Samoa, right? What brought you guys here? I mean, I'm kind of going backwards a little bit, but what brought you guys here to Hawaii? What was the opportunities that maybe brought you guys families?
Well, for me, I was born in independent Samoa, so there's no football there. There's rugby. But my parents, like any other parent, they came here to visit back in 1964 when I was 2 or 3 years old. And of course, stayed with family. And then they came back and said, wow, we want our kids to experience this stuff. And then we came for those opportunities. I was very fearful of the fact that I couldn't speak a word of English. In fact, the first assembly I had as a 4th grader, I had probably one line and I couldn't sleep the night before. I was so nervous. Well, guess what we do for a living now? It's God's will to bless us. But very humble beginnings, and I think that's where the appreciation comes from. Obviously I have kids that play the game. They're American kids, that were born here. They, like Troy said, it's almost like martial law, how we were brought up, Even though you're right, you're wrong. I mean, you don't answer back to your parents, and that's what we're trying to hang on to, especially now with the kids. And I'm sure Ma grew up from humble beginnings also.
One thing I want to touch upon is, English wasn't your first language, right? But in sports, it gives you this platform to put yourself out there. communication is very key for me. I believe that being able to articulate yourself and talk behind a mic or in an interview, what kind of helped you, progress, like with, like the English part, but also the way you are able to, communicate, articulate yourself and get things across? Because I'm sure that has helped you or maybe brought you into some rooms, right? That maybe some people would think like, what is this Polynesian doing in here? Or what is this, this guy? For you, what has helped?
Well, obviously playing sports, my English picked up real fast. But what has helped me personally is always remembering not to embarrass my family.
True.
When I'm in the front of the mic, whether we win or lose, John Madden said in one of his podcasts that, when the 49ers win, you don't hear Jesse Sapolu. But when they lose, he's the first one to stand up. That comes from my upbringing as a Samoan, when the heat is on, that's that. And the team draws from that strength, So a lot of my, the way I handle myself in the media is from my upbringing, make sure you don't embarrass your family and you don't embarrass your people.
Nice,
That's
nice.
important.
Ma, when you're growing up in, when football came along, it wasn't a passion of yours in the beginning, right? Like what kind of, I guess, led to where maybe the passion started to pick up? And because, it led you to be able to get a scholarship, play in the NFL. Like what helped contribute to that?
Probably seen a lot of the players that had gone through UH when I was at Milani High School.
Yeah.
And then probably getting my first college coach to come visit me on campus. It's like, wow, okay, there's something to this game that may help me in my future. But then to see Jesse and Mark Tuane and a lot of the guys that have gone before me and watch them in the Super Bowl, and you're thinking, man, that sport has brought them, to the pinnacle of, of what's possible out there. So I think that's probably influenced me the most, and just to be able to compete and be able to go out there and do it as a living.
Yeah.
To do something that you love as a living and make money from it, and be able to bless your family, bless your parents, do stuff in your community, come back. And I think that's probably like the best part that really motivated me.
Oh, right on. So, you guys were able to go through high school. Kind of moving on. One thing I'm grateful for is, UH has this term, brotherhood, right? This really is the brotherhood. Different generations of UH alumni sitting at this table, which I'm thankful for, because when I was going to University of Hawaii, we would have your guys' pictures, your guys' names on things. And, it really was, it was important. They always said that to know the people that came before you, right? There's a standard that you live by because of the hard work and, the efforts that you guys were be able to put in. I want to touch upon your guys' experiences at the University of Hawaii, because I think times have changed, right? There's no stadium atmosphere anymore. The team is building, trying to come back up. But share some experiences during your guys' times that, really stood out. Like, man, those were the days,
Well, for me, when I got recruited, when the coaches from Arizona State, Michigan State came to Farrington, man, I ran home. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, because people know my story and how I struggled academically, my sophomore year. Not because I was dumb, it's because my self-esteem wasn't very high, And then Coach Ellis Binder from Farrington brought me into his office and say, hey, you're 6'2", you're 245 pounds, and this is as a sophomore. Back then it was pretty big. If you just do things right, you can help your family, you can change your life. And the first time a coach from UH came to check me out at Farrington, the confidence and the self-esteem went way up. And that is so important, because back then, we didn't go past California,
Yeah.
Maybe Arizona was but it was important for me to do something for my family. It was important for me to get my education. Did I want to play in the NFL? Of course I did. But as we get older, you become realistic. Like you shoot for it, but you don't really know until maybe your last 2 years.
Yeah.
When you start getting letters from NFL teams.
Nice. How was that? Like talking about NFL letters from teams. Like, what was your experience? Just through the process of UH.
Well, for me, kind of getting back on the brotherhood, like you were talking about at UH. So when I was playing at UH, the time I used to look forward to was the off season.
Yeah.
Right. So we'd be in off season where we're at the players' lounge,
Mm-hmm.
and then Al Noga would pull up, be home for off season training at the in a weight room or out in the field. Rich Miano would pull up. Jesse would come and talk to us. New Follow would come in on his motorcycle, park right there, and just to see these guys come back and watch them, how they, what you needed to do in order to get to the next level is really what I look forward to in watching these guys go out there. I used to see Rich Miano just run with the track team. I don't know if it was UH track team, but just run 200s. Like, he probably ran about 2200s. Like,
Dang.
wow, is that kind of stuff you got to do? I mean, it wasn't even the season. That was off season. So that's the stuff I really looked up to. I mean, looked forward to when I was at UH, being able to, okay, this is my roadmap. I got to do this, do that. Off season, so I have a good, real productive on season. So that was the best part for myself being at UH.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can attest to that because like having Isaac Sopawanga come back, I mean, I had guys like Wayne Hunter, I mean, all these different guys that would come back. It really inspires you because it's like, man, like it's almost attainable. It is attainable, right? Like, everybody has their plans, but like just seeing those guys, like they came through the system was good. What is some, if you look back, what is some of the, maybe one of the biggest games that you played during your guys' careers that was like, man, always stands out?
Well, for me, when I was getting recruited, UH was independent.
Oh, I didn't know.
But when Dick Tomey came in, they fought to put Hawaii in a conference. So that was the promise.
Oh, nice.
For them to recruit me. We were my first year, we were going to be in the WAC. By my sophomore year, we went 8-3. The first year, we went 6-5. We pulled off some upsets. My third year, we started off 7-0.
Ooh.
And because we were 8-3 the year before, we were ranked 16th in the nation. First time UH was ever ranked in Division I football. I mean, just like the excitement of the team, the Sugar Bowl and Ma'a's, the bowl that they played in. Man, that campus, everybody had a bounce in their step, because, and of course we played BYU. They upset us here. I think it was 13-10 with Jim McMahon, and in fact, the guy I played against, their middle linebacker, is the head coach for Utah. Whittingham.
Whittingham, yeah.
So, some great players in those days, but being ranked for the first time, we didn't have bowl games. You got to win your conference to play in the bowl game. And I would have played in bowl games all 4 of my years because I went 6-5, 8-3, 9-2, and 6-5. But it all sets up, the contribution of setting UH up for the success that came later with Ma'a's Bowl team and then the team that went on to the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. So. Mao, is there one game that stood out to you as just like, man, when you look back at your career, it's just like at University of Hawaii, it was just like, man, that was the game.
Man, probably the game that Ty Detmer got the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're all we usually have like a little potluck at the hotel. There used to be that hotel by the airport that we used to stay at.
Used to be the Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn.
Oh, yeah.
So that was the airport we used to stay in the night before the game.
Some memories, huh?
Like a little, back then it was like a little motel, almost like a Motel 6 back then.
Oh, we got spoiled, man.
Yes, we did.
So we're in this room, all the D linemen, all the positions, they always get together, they do their little kongai or their little potluck. So we're all there. So, let's go watch the Heisman Trophy presentations. So I guess back then was during the season because when Ty Detmer got it, we were just about to play him. So we were over there watching, and all of a sudden they're, congratulating Ty Detmer. Hey, you got the Heisman Trophy. Like, oh, okay, we're going to play this guy. Okay, let's see what happens. And Garrett Gabriel's our quarterback back then. So, we got to, put ourselves on the map because now we got this Heisman Trophy guy coming in thinking they're going to run over us. Plus, it's BYU, and that's always the big game.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what kind of season you're having, BYU Hawaii out here, that was always the game. So, I think that was one of my most memorable wins when I was at UH is when we beat Ty Detmer and the BYU Cougars when they came in.
I can only imagine that stadium going on because I was a young boy. My parents were season ticket holders before I was even born. But man, the toilet paper from the top, the confetti. the walkways just shaking with people standing up. I definitely missed it. I wish the younger generation had the opportunity to experience that.
I'm sure Jesse's out there with the Niners cheering us on too.
Yeah,
I was because I never beat BYU during my 4 years.
And then their quarterback was a BYU quarterback too, right?
Yeah,
Steve Young.
Steve Young.
Yeah, definitely teammates. Not touching too much into the transfer portal, right? But you guys talk the way your guys' experiences have been. It's because of the team, right? The chemistry of a team. Building a team.
Culture,
the culture. Culture is not built overnight. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, with kids, for whatever reasons they get into the portal, you don't have that aspect of, oh, you know what, next year our team, because everybody's new.
That's right.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What is your guys' kind of stance or just viewpoint on this whole transfer portal? And although it is maximizing certain or people's I guess positions and raising the bar for themselves, but what does it take away from the team? Because you don't have a team next year because everything's always new.
It goes against everything that we believed in when we were coming up. Mm-hmm. The lack of loyalty. We got I found out from Kevin, we got 17 millionaires that are practicing at Comet Mel right now. That already got NIL deals that are $1 million and up. That doesn't include the guys that are 500,000, 600,000.
And these guys haven't even touched foot on a college campus
Some
yet,
of them
right?
are 11th graders.
And they're able to, fly their parents over with them. I mean, their families with them because they already got some of that.
I
had no idea it was like that.
Do I like it? No, I don't like it because it doesn't teach the values that is going to carry them through life, to be able to experience adversity, learn how to overcome it. The portal has changed all of that. The kids can just jump in. Oh, I'm mad at you. I'm going to jump in the portal. I don't like the NIL thing from the standpoint where if you have a quarterback that makes $3 million and your offensive lineman doesn't make anything, they're riding their bike to the class while your quarterback's coming in his Mercedes.
Yeah,
that splits teams. And if you have a quarterback that's kind of an arrogant guy, I'm human.
Yeah.
I
don't feel
it'll cross my mind. I might take a dive here, man. Just to make you humble.
Yeah,
it's the atmosphere that's created. It goes against everything, especially us Polynesians. We're very hardcore conservative beliefs that you got to earn everything to be successful in life. Well, this new system has changed all of that. In fact, I can tell you, we fought for so long for free agency in the NFL. Man, the portal, you can move. Colleges have more movement than the NFL right now. Yeah. So,
what is your take on it?
I think the portal should only be used if your head coach moves to a different school. I think that's the only way you should jump in the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, I think that's the only way you can try to keep your guys there, and coaches not worrying about talking to the kid a certain way and worrying about if he's going to jump in the portal. You know what I mean? Because he's there to he's there because the coaches felt that person was the best to help their team out. And sometimes some kids you still got to build them still.
Yeah.
In order to achieve what their max success will be. But I think the portal should only be used because if the coaches can go and get another deal somewhere else, I think I'm sure those coaches would want to bring the kids they recruited there to that school. But other than that, I think the money that they get for NIL, it should be like thrown into an escrow or something where they can't touch it unless they either finish there or get their degree or something like that, which is another advantage to them because if NFL doesn't work out, at least they'll have their money there still when they graduate.
One thing that with this thing is like for me it was the off season like you touched upon earlier, right? Like that really you play harder for your teammate because back in UH we had every every Monday through Friday on our own before coaches were on the field. It was team-led conditioning and practices, right? Yeah. You show up with your groupings, and then you all come together and condition in the evenings. But knowing that you ran just with me side by side, I was in the weight room pushing you, you pushed me, you really have that sense of like, I got you, And when it comes to that season, like for me, when we had our Sugar Bowl run, right? We played our 06 season, I felt we just blew guys out. We were going to Fresno, blowing guys out. And then, my sophomore year, the Sugar Bowl year, we played a lot of close games. We played San Jose State in overtime, in the rain, mud, came back and put it off. But the sideline never lost belief because everybody you seen on the sideline was like, man, I grinded with you. You know, I got you. We got this, you know? So I do feel like for me, it's like, man, I don't think, you know, the money and, you know, the NIL deals and all of that stuff, it's you know, for people that they're making out. You know, you have 17 millionaires on a practice field that haven't even touched the college campus. Good for them. But you miss out on the true core values of a team, right? Because also talking about this too is, what you build in sports, if you look at like the real detail of it, it's what carries you onto your career, right? Because it's so little, right? This thing we love and sports is such a little time period. But if you don't learn the core values of persistency and facing adverse situations, you know, you come to the career where you know bounce career to career. You know, your resume is going to be toilet paper long, right?
Right.
Yeah, I played 15 years. I retired at 37. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? Those core values would carry you for the rest of your life.
Amen.
After you play football. But yeah, it's different now. You know, we you know, for me personally, I would rather the NCAA coming out and say, okay, maybe we underpaid the kids because we were able to sell their jerseys, their likeness. Why don't we give each kid $5,000 a month?
Yeah, spread it amongst.
Spread among the whole team. You know, now you're comfortable financially, but we still hold that bond together as a team. But to make it like a professional style of, you know, it makes it tough on coaches.
Yeah.
Really tough on coaches. You know, my son coached here for 2 years. Right?
Yeah, Rome, yeah.
He recruited a kid from Houston. He got into the portal. He's a starter for Arizona State that made it to the playoffs, you know. And he realized that, wow, you know, this is where we're at now.
It's a new name of the game, huh?
It's different. You're right. My years with UH, I had 3 O-line coaches in 4 years. And to me, was it hard the very first time? And I cried. I'm like, you recruited me. You told me all these things. That didn't come out of my mouth, but that was in my mind. You said all these things, how much you love me, and this is the reason why you're coaching at UH, and then you get up and you leave. Then you realize the next year, you know, another coach left. I took it as a compliment. The reason they left is because of the success we had on the field.
Nice.
So once you stop taking it personal, but, you know, that takes a little maturity on my part, then you understood what that means. But you have a point, you know, because the argument now, if the coaches can get up and leave, why can't the players do it? But I think the coaches, from the standpoint of better opportunities for the family, for players, I think it's important to stay there to develop that character and able to fight the world and what the challenges are out there.
Yeah, going off of that, so during my experiences at UH, I had the same thing. I had 4 D-line coaches during my career. I had Vance Singletary, Kaikala Malloy, Dave Aranda, and Jeff Reinbold. So, you know, but that's when you go through obstacles during your playing career, it makes you see a bigger picture, right? Because a lot of people can be mad and point like, hey, you know, you just up and leave. But when you're a little bit more mature, you have a different lens that you're looking through. You can look, okay, well, one, I can learn different styles, right? They're going to build me in a different way, a better, complete, because of their, you know, process of teaching, coaching. But, you know, with mental health too, it's one of those things, right? You go through hard times, people can pity myself, or they can look at, you know, the positive out of a situation, right? So I don't want to stay on that subject too long, but, you know, as we're gearing towards your guys' NFL careers, you know, what, as a teammate, right? Because the bond is formed, you know, during the off season, your time with your teammates. For you guys, kind of explain what is the characteristics that you guys look for in a good teammate?
Probably somebody to answer your call on the first ring.
Yeah.
Like this guy right here.
There you go.
Teammate.
There you go.
Shoot, I guess somebody that you can confide in. A good teammate is probably the one that your wife wants you to hang out with.
Yeah.
Because they see the values too with that person and what his beliefs are, and you know, you are considered or the look is that you are the people you hang out with, right? So, it's I think it's built as far as when I was at Denver, the culture there. I mean, I had a lot of great teammates there that were there with me, and I mean, you know, off the field maybe they you know, do whatever they did, but on the field, I had some really probably about 2 or 3 good teammates that you hang out at the house with them. You go to their kids' birthday parties, or they come to yours, or when they're in Hawaii, they give you a call, or when I'm there, so we always get together. So there's a few things that you look in as far as traits, as far as teammates that I look at.
What stood out for you, Jesse? Like what really stood out for you as a teammate? Whether it's off the field stuff or just somebody that you seen work ethic wise that really was like, wow.
You talk about the second year when you guys went to the Sugar Bowl, you had some close games, right? And the belief never left. If you Google the team with the longest road winning streak in the NFL, it's the 49ers at 18. The next team was 14, and then there's a lot of 11s.
Yeah.
When you play in front of 90,000 people, and those 90,000 people are against you, during that 18 straight run that we had on the road, a lot of times we thought we were done.
Yeah.
But we hung in there. You hung in there. You know which guys got your back when you can barely hear the snap count. They're stemming the line. They're moving the linebackers to be calm under pressure and be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
It's, to me, is a teammate that's going to be there when you count on them the most.
Yeah.
And then obviously, as people, how they don't come late to meetings, the commitment, the little things, because it's just not on the field.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the NFL teams now, some of the receivers, man, they're filming their coaches' speeches in the locker room.
And that, back in the day, it was like whatever happens in the locker room, sacred.
Stays in the locker room.
It's sacred.
And it's almost like they got no problem letting that out. And that was a special thing that we've always had.
Because nobody knew what happened in the locker room,
Because the special thing about this game, whether we play professionally, we play college, we play high school, the high school guys are friends 25 years later because they suffered together in the field. There's nothing worse than your forearm getting hit by a face mask and you look down, you see if it's broken. Because you go through that pain together. That's why that friendship, even the guys that didn't play a lot, you still become friends with those guys. It's a special part of this game because this game is not a contact sport game. This is a gladiator game. It's a game where it's a collision sport. A lot of people say, well, it's a contact sport. No, basketball is a contact sport. Football, you don't come in there and lean on somebody. You're there to just test your manhood against another guy. And because of that suffering that we went through to learn adversity, how to overcome adversity in our lives as men after, that's what makes it special. That's why, when I look at you and I know your career at UH, I know there's a certain bond that I understand that you understand.
Yes.
There's a bond that I understand that I understand. And we can find comfort in that without even saying a word,
Totally.
So that's what's special about it.
Oh, right on. I kind of want to get into your guys' NFL careers real quickly before we touch into finish off on the Polynesian Bowl. But, for you, before you found, home in Denver, right? You went through a couple teams, battled through some adversity and injuries, right? How was that road? Because, you had to go through that road before you found your success because you became a two-time sack leader, right, for Denver. So how was that kind of navigating? Because I think most people would get stuck, like if they don't know how to fight through that adverse situation, would have quit. You would have never found your success, right?
Yeah, I think it was a wake-up call. Yeah. You figure when you get drafted, you think you made the team, you're going to be in the NFL forever. But getting drafted was probably one of the best times of my life. And getting injured, we've all been injured. Been injured at UH and high school. I was blessed that I wasn't injured in high school, but I got injured at UH, MCL and knee stuff. But being injured where you need a surgery, that's something different I've never been through. So playing against the Cleveland Browns and Pio Sangapolo-Tele was on the other side, playing defensive line. And last play of the game, I come in for a tackle. My safety comes up to help on the tackle, hits my knee, pops my knee. It's the first time I ever felt that feeling. So I'm on the ground, sitting there, and he comes, hey, you need some help? Yeah, I don't know. I can't get up. My knee is numb. So as soon as that happens, he runs off. Trainers run on. The stadium lights goes off. Fireworks start shooting. So I'm sitting there in the middle of the field, like looking up, like I'm down here in the middle. Fireworks are going off. Trainers come. They put me on the cart, take me off. But man, that was probably one of the eye-opening parts there because now I got to go through rehab.
Yeah.
I don't know if my career is going to last now. I already had a family already that was with me. So there's all different type of stresses. Like you said, mental health. There's all type of stuff going through my mind. And there was a coach there that was at with the Rams, George Dyer. Love him to death. He's a guy that just told me after my surgery because I think it was like 6 months later the Rams cut me from the team. So he's like, "Don't worry, kid. You just heal up, and wherever I'm at, I'll come and get you."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, yeah." I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, okay." Something that he says to everybody. But sure enough, man, I get healthy. It took about a year in order for my knee to really heal up and be comfortable again. So I get picked up by the Steelers, and Tassifamui is there. So I'm there from October to the end of the season. And then sure enough, Coach Dyer goes to Denver with Shanahan. And he calls my agent, "Hey, is that kid, how's my kid doing?
Yeah.
Is he healed up?" "Oh, yeah, he's at Steelers, and the Steelers want to keep him there. But I'm sure if you ask for him, I think he'll probably go with you." And sure enough, "Hey, kid, I'm in Denver. Hey, come with me. I'll make sure I'll take care of you out here as long as you work hard."
Yeah.
"Yes, coach, I'm on my way." So I passed the physical. But that's probably one of the most trying moments of my career. And just having a family at that time, I think really pushed me even more to really try to be successful there.
How important is that? Because relationships, right? Because you never know. Coaches moving different places nowadays in college and the NFL, but just relationships in general. How important is it for people to always, regardless if you guys do something together, you don't. How important is the value of a relationship? Because you never know where it might show up again later on in life, right?
That's crazy, guy. Like you just said, you never want to burn bridges, right? Because you never know when you might come back to that same bridge again and need some help. But keeping, I think, relationships open, no matter whether it's good or bad, but just having some sort of open line of communication that whether it helps you and hopefully it doesn't hurt you is something important. Like I said, you never know when you might come back to that person that you may need help from or they may need help from you.
No, totally. Jess, I'll go to you real quickly is, first question I have to ask is, why is the state of Hawaii, why is there so many 49er fans, like enthusiasts and diehards? I want to know, like, what do you think the connection is?
Yeah, how did Hawaii fall in love
with the 49ers,
I don't know. I grew up a Ram fan.
Oh.
I think, I'm a local boy from here, right?
Yeah.
And I stayed on that team for 15 years. And then
team for 15 years.
And then it helps that we were the team of the 80s and then we won another one in the 90s. I think that generation of fans kind of migrated that way because we were the NFC West. We were the NFC West, but it was the Rams, 49ers, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and then Carolina.
Yeah, then the West. That's
right.
the
And then
West.
the Rams went to St. Louis, so we became the NFC West. Only one team was on the West. It was the 49ers, and we did a little damage. I think it developed, the fan base here. There's a big fan base in, I can tell you, in Samoa.
Oh yeah.
And I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And
you're one of the pioneers, too. So.
Yeah, because now we had some Samoans come through. Isaac Sopoanga, Mike Upati. We got a young kid now that's we can talk to kids about because I talked to Dominic Puni's
offensive guard,
dad after the game. I didn't realize he started off at Division II for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, started his very first game as a rookie, started the whole year. I think it's because when I walk around games, there's people with Hawaii flags, during warm-ups. There's jazz, it quietly makes me proud, and of course, I turned his career around. Because of the head coach that came from us, Mike Shanahan, was my coordinator the last 3 years, and turned his career around. I had some injuries too. I broke my leg, broke my foot, but I had a real good first year where I came in. They just won their first Super Bowl when I was at UH, and then I broke through and I started 4 games. But that bought time for me when I broke my foot.
Yeah,
I broke my foot playing basketball at UH, and then they didn't put a screw in there, so it kept breaking. So I had some struggles in the beginning part of my career, but once I got going, I was fortunate enough to stay healthy.
Yeah. I definitely could go on. I mean, I'm a football, I love the passion I have for football. I could go on for days with you guys' careers, but, going back, you were with one team for 15 years, correct? What do you think attributed to, the longevity of your career? Talk about some things that went into that.
Well, I had one offensive line coach for 15 years. I think the fact that I was not high maintenance off the field, I was one that they moved me around 4 different times.
Wow.
And that's why I was able to be selected at 2 different positions to play in the Pro Bowl. And you guys know that now. They ask someone to move.
Yeah.
They want to ask why.
Yeah.
My upbringing in Hawaii and my upbringing as a Samoan, they asked me to move. I'm like, well, I guess I got to move.
Yes.
So they remember that stuff, me being able to move around to help the team win Super Bowls. It kept me going. Now, after my 14th year, I found out my heart was enlarged because I grew up with a heart murmur, a torn aorta valve in my heart. I'm the first and probably the only player to have their chest cut open and came back and played my 15th year. And I did it because I had a condition that a lot of Polynesian kids have called rheumatic fever. So the reason I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I was able to come back and play my 15th year. But a lot of different influences that we use our career to try to influence young men and young women in a positive light.
Nice. Now we're here at the Polynesian. You guys are wearing your apparel, right? The Polynesian Bowl. I know that it kind of started with Coach Jones, with your guys' trip with Coach Jones on his medical trip to Samoa, correct? And one of the things that I've heard, I've read into, was that when you guys went to different villages, right? They didn't have, maybe people didn't know really people that came before them in the sports, on the football playing field, right? So from that maybe conversation to where it is like starting this partnership between you guys, how did that come together? Really like, okay, we're going to do this together and we're going to build this.
Well, June has always had love for Polynesia and Pacific Islands. And his mind always works that way. We would travel to Samoa and take close to $1 million worth of medical supplies. We take x-ray machines and we take nurses and doctors, and they go to the hospital and do their thing while and I were doing the camp. So June was one that, it's always about Polynesian kids.
Yeah.
What can we do to make them better? What can we do to help them with those opportunities? And there's no question that guy motivated us. So we're on a school bus going from village to village. And he looked at me and he goes, we were discussing, just like we were discussing. So who was the first Polynesian?
Yeah.
I didn't know, I didn't know the Polynesian played in the NFL in 1947.
Yeah.
I didn't know we went back that deep. And then as we were joking around and trying to answer the different questions that we had, he said, it's a shame if you guys forget about the legends that started this whole thing. And it just, clicked and agree, Then he looked at me and Ma and said, well, why don't you guys start it?
Yeah.
I'm like, this thing is a big project. And so when we were trying to put this thing together, we started with the dinner the first 2 years. We didn't have a Polynesian Bowl.
Yeah.
And we work with a marketing company that does foundations for Patrick Mahomes. They just signed Aaron Donald. We do Penny Sewell's. We used to do tours. And they said, let's do a dinner and raise some money, for scholarships and honor the legends. And they said, let's charge $250 a ticket. I started swallowing my...
the demographic they speaking to?
Right, exactly right. I grew up in a church where we do family nights, $20 a ticket. They complain, right?
Yeah.
But he said something to us. He says, if you do it first class, people will come.
Give them an experience.
And he has a saying that we always joke about. It's not a fundraiser, it's a fundraiser. So it changed our mindset.
Yeah.
It changed our mindset.
Because as Polynesians, we don't really think about it like that, right? We're always willing to give, but how do you give from an empty cup? And that's
right.
That's
awesome.
Exactly
right. And it's something that Ma and I became very, very proud of. And it's allowed us to branch outside of this brand that we have to succeed in our lives in other ways.
with this platform, I'm sure when you guys started too, anything new comes with a lot of just skepticism, right? So I'm sure people were like, first, what? Come to Hawaii? This got to be a scam or something, right? Like you know what I mean?
Polynesian Bowl game, yeah.
Especially, not to say it in any negative way, but sometimes, right? We as a community, as a people, we build each other the best way, but we also know how to tear each other down, right? Sometimes you see Polynesians leading certain things, and you're like, wow, something's got to be up. There's got to be something, right? So I'm sure you guys faced some of that things. What was it like though? Because like you said, after a couple of years, it fizzles out or down. How did you guys, how were you guys able to be consistent in building this and staying with it? Like, no, we got something because you guys have the NFL Network. I think you guys had CBS Sports prior to the NFL Network showcasing this game. So how were you guys able to stay consistent and on this track?
I think, first of all, it's the only reason why people think it's a scam is who are leading it.
Yeah, character.
Right? You got to know character.
Exactly.
So I think the right two people that they picked at the top is based on our character.
100%.
And the character that's been within our careers, within our life, just proves that when we do things or when we say things that we mean it. And I think once people knew that Jesse and I were leading the charge in this effort, I think a lot more people were able to come on board and say, okay, let's see how we can make it happen.
Yeah.
And to be consistent with it day in and day out, like Jesse said, everything's got to be first class.
Yeah.
In anything that we do while we're out here, and from the kids coming in to the parents' needs that are coming with their kids to our coaches that are coaching in the game, and especially with our head coaches, because I'm out there watching practice today, and our assistant coaches who are high school coaches out here in the programs, which are head coaches at those programs out here in high school, are kind of learning from these great coaches on how to put a good game plan, how to get a good practice schedule, how to do this and that. So it's actually helping our coaches here to even put on a better football program within their communities. So I think if you do everything first class and people come away with something as they got their money's worth, and it's nothing that they didn't put all this money in there and they really need to get nothing out of it, and they see these kids enjoying themselves, and not just Polynesian kids, but just kids from different ethnicities. I think that's what makes it all worthwhile, and that's why we keep going and the way it's going. It's only getting better than getting worse.
Yeah, no, because you guys give them truly a first-class experience, and their families now that come and tag along, right? Because you guys went to the Polynesian Cultural Center. You guys, do you guys still go to Pearl Harbor? Yeah. So talk about maybe some of the activities for you on, we show them this because it's important for them to see, because a lot of these people, maybe it's their first time to Hawaii, right? And around the Polynesian culture. So what's important for you?
Well, that's what's important because our culture is based on humility and respect. And there's a young man, probably his appearance fee is $100,000 right now. Just won a Heisman.
Yeah.
He's here. I don't want to tell you how much we paid him. $0. He's here because of his experience 3 years ago. And some of the stuff that he's going through with social media. When he came here 3 years ago, he felt a sense of family.
Yeah.
And when people are tearing at you and pulling at you, when we asked him if he could come, it didn't take long for him to come and be here. Great young man. Part of it is the fact that we try to do things first class. Now, one of the things that you mentioned, people thought it was a scam, and then they say, "Wow, those guys, they want to compete against us." We try to make a conscious effort. Like we have a Polynesian All-American game in Carson. I've come here and we're involved with the JBS game here. I think there's a need for all of those games. Our game, we have our little niche where 51% we get the top Polynesian players of high school from all over the nation. Then we reserve the other 49 to the very top non-Polynesian. Because ratings come into play.
Yeah.
We started off streaming this thing. And then we went local TV, right? Ma can tell you, we fed them at Jack in the Box for lunch.
Oh, for real?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We're very humble beginnings,
Yeah.
you know. And people don't know that.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's good that people can hear that, right?
Ma and I were in Samoa, independent Samoa, doing camps. We were trying to eat breakfast, and it came on our phones that CBS Network want to offer us a 3-year contract.
Nice.
And we left our breakfast. We were so happy, you know. We started with that. And then all of a sudden, these top 5-star, 4-star kids, Sapolu kids, black kids, go back to the mainland and start tweeting about their experience. Because when we started this game, the Army All-American game was the number one.
Yeah, what's the number one at the
By a
time?
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Then Under Armour was the second highest ranking. We sold our culture. We sold our experience. You know, and we joke about it now. I tell Ma, it's not much different than what we got for the Pro Bowl, except they don't get a check.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But that's the first class that we talked about. Because when we do things first class, it represents us, you know. And we're very proud from that standpoint of, you know, treating kids with respect. And the marketing company that we work with, they do a great job. Sometimes they kind of go away from our Polynesian culture. It's our job to pull them back.
Yeah.
Because even though we're doing things nationally, we still have to keep the core beliefs of our culture.
100%, yeah.
And not have kids fight on the field and stop pointing at people. No, that's not who we are.
Yeah.
So we try our best to do that.
You know, it goes back to core values, right, of how we were raised. And I think that, for me, that's very inspiring in itself because, you know, we are so accustomed to looking out, right? Going, you know, what the mainland does or these, you know, but really, it's really taking ownership and pride in who we are as a people, you know, what, you know, pillars in our life that were stable and that how we were raised, that these kids come in and understand us better, right? And like you said, they go back to, you know, there's 50 states. You know, they go back to the different places and share. Some people have never heard of Polynesians, never know or where Hawaii was. And, you know, like you said, they start tweeting. And that's really how, you know, you can really spread positivity. And, you know, I always love a situation where our culture and our people can be uplifted. So I think, you know, what you guys are doing with the Polynesian Football Hall of Fame is, you know, and the bowl game itself is incredible. You know, where do you see the growth of this bowl game going? And how do you want, you know, these kids use this platform as well? Because, I mean, we're talking about, if you guys haven't seen the bowl game, the people that come out of the bowl game is your Heisman Trophy winner this year, is pretty much every top Polynesian in the NFL came through this program. Pine Sewell, right? Sewell.
Puka Nakua.
Yeah, Puka. Tua played.
Tua.
I mean, the list can go on. But you just know that you're Polynesian, you're a stud, you're balling in the NFL, you came through this bowl game. Right, yeah. And it's inspiring. So, what do you guys hope for the growth of this game, where it leads to?
Well, our hope is these kids go on to become successful players, not only in college to get their education, but when they become stars in the NFL, they can go and give back to their communities the same way we gave back here. That's the influence that we want to have. It's not about just us.
Yeah,
and we have we force ourselves to look outside of the dome that we protect ourselves as Polynesians. Because I'm a true believer in our culture, despite all the NIL stuff that's going on, that is the root and foundation of who we are. And I think it's important for us. You know, we did the draft the other night. The first things out of my mouth, I looked at our Polynesian kids and I said, you guys make sure you're great hosts to our guests.
Yeah. Yes.
Players from other nationalities. Because it teaches them that responsibility and it teaches them to stay humble. It's so hard to stay humble nowadays, you know. We played Chicago about last month and I went up to say hi to Pene's brother, Noah Sewell, and I got hugged from behind, right? And I looked, I didn't recognize who he was. He said, Coach, I played in the Polynesian Bowl. It was the receiver, Odonze.
Yeah, watched it.
Yeah.
But, you know, that brought joy to my heart because he remembers his experience.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, that's great. I mean, like, you know, it's to tell the kids, you know, it's great to have accolades, Super Bowl rings, championship, but what are you going to leave after you're gone? What are they going to remember you more when you leave this earth? And, you know, like Jesse said, hopefully they go on to do great things. But when you make it to the top of the building, like they said, make sure you send the elevator back down.
Yeah,
man, everybody come back up. So that's the one thing I want these kids to remember.
Awesome. You know, this podcast is built off of inspiration, elevation, and empowerment. And I hope that as you watch this episode, that you're truly inspired. It motivates you to, like you said, as you make it to the top, don't forget to send the elevator back up. Back down for the people to come up with you. And the empowerment of anything is possible if you surround yourself with the right people. You set good role models to follow along. And truly, look at the people that come behind you, that you're setting the correct foot forward, or you're blazing a path that they can follow and return it back to the community. Remember, we are contributors, not just consumers in this life. And as Polynesian people, I pray that you guys find that inspiration in that. But I'd like to thank you guys, Jesse and Mom, for making the time, because I know you guys' schedules are crazy busy right now. Hope you guys have a great event. I know you guys will.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for what you guys do for not just the people that's coming to the game, but us that are up and coming. You guys really inspire myself, young Samoans coming up to give back. But I thank you guys, family, for tuning in. And this is the Village HI Podcast.
All right.
All right.